Hi there, RC Girl here. Today I have the Axial SCX10.3 on my bench. I've been building this kit for the last couple months. I know I'm a little bit behind the curve. This came out a couple months ago. It's been such a fun build, really high quality kit. If you love RC building, this has a lot to offer. Of course, this kit has portal axles, so you're gonna get super high clearance. This thing also is decked out with a full MyTrickRC light kit. I put in a Tekin brushed 5-slot motor in their BXR ESC combo. I also got a couple Ottsix Racing upgrades like their new Halo web wrap foams. These are supposed to be really great for side hilling. Got a couple Night Customs goodies from his Shapeways store. And then lastly, I did a custom paint job with Proline paints. This color is called Metallic Pewter. I was a little bit worried it was gonna be too gold or champagne, but I really like how it looks with all the black accents that come with the kit. In this video, we're gonna go up to the Pacific Northwest and do a ton of crawling. Then later in the video, I'll go over all the details about this kit, including what you need as far as tools to complete it, share all the details about the electronics that I spec'd it with and the upgrades that I went with, share some of the build highlights and tips, and talk about my initial impressions. So stay tuned. First, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Here you're gonna find RC reviews, tips and tricks, run videos, flight videos, and other things related to RC. So if you guys wanna see more, make sure you like and subscribe. And I know it's been a long time since I posted a video, sorry about that. I do post a lot of behind the scenes stuff on my Instagram and Facebook, so between videos, make sure to check that out. And I did want to mention, I spent my own money on this. I really wanted this for myself. I really enjoyed the SCX10.2 platform and heard really great things about the 3. Before we hit the road, huge thank you to Tekin Racing, Ottsix Racing, Powerhobby, MyTrickRC, Night Customs, and of course JJ Customs Hobby Shop, where I picked this up a couple months ago. Thank you, Jason, for reserving one of these for me. All right, enough yapping, let's hit the road. First stop was Hood River, Oregon. I got to stop at this super amazing waterfall. It was crazy tall. I crawled at the base of it, really scenic and beautiful. Of course, could not forget the mountain bike. Tons of mountain bike riding up there. People have been asking me for mountain bike footage for a little bit, so here you go. Also stopped in Bellingham, Washington. Of course, brought the bombers. Those are a go-to rig on any trip. And then, of course, the SCX10.3. Got to trail test this for the first time. It's not quite waterproof yet, so I tried to stay out of the water, but here's a little bit of footage from my trip. So let's talk about the kit. I'm not going to be doing a full build tutorial. There's several already out there, but I did want to cover some of the highlights and things that I really liked about this kit and why I picked it out in particular. I finished the build over the course of a couple weeks as components were arriving, but if you have everything ready to go, you could definitely do it over a weekend or several evenings. Because it is a kit, you're going to have to supply your own electronics, but otherwise the kit comes with everything that you need. There are some tools though that I would suggest, and I'll quickly cover what I used. A good set of hex wrenches will do wonders. I got this on Amazon for pretty cheap. And then some digital calipers, because there's some screws that are like 1 or 2 millimeters difference, and picking those out with your eyes is going to be really hard. So digital calipers, also great for measuring your links. I also really like using a ratchet socket wrench for getting my tires on and off quickly. It does come with the little T-wrench, then a good pair of pliers and some wire cutters. And a lesser known tool, you're also going to need an M3 by 0.5 thread tap for some of the components, like your shock towers. The hard plastics are not pre-threaded. I stripped a bunch of screws and then saw on the forums that they suggested a thread tap, so I'll put a link to the one that I got on Amazon. And then lastly, if you want your hands to survive this build, definitely invest in an electric screwdriver. I have my WAYY here. My hex wrenches come with a little adapter that allow me to switch out the tips. It was a lifesaver. Use this to mostly tighten your screws and then go in and hand tighten them so you don't over tighten the plastics. The kit comes with AR45 portal axles, which is going to give you high ground clearance. One tip I would suggest, make sure to check the gears that are set by pins. They have a rounded side and a flat side, and to get the offset right, make sure that the pins are set into the rounded groove. You're going to find similar gears also in your transmission, and I had a little clicking issue I'll talk about a little bit later. Actually, to disassemble mine and fix these, so make sure you do that right the first time. The transmission is probably the hardest part to assemble. It's a little bit complicated, so take your time. It has the optional 2-speed and dig function, which you can choose to lock out with a spacer if you want, but I chose to use those. The kit comes with really nice, high-quality metal links, super heavy. I think these are the same ones that also come in the Capra. Something else that's really cool is that the chassis rails are adjustable, so you can change the wheelbase of your rig. It comes stock at 12.3, but you can make that shorter or longer if you want. There are 2 battery trays that come with the kit, so you can change the weight distribution of your rig and also fit different battery sizes. And then one thing I thought was missing from the 10.2 was inner fenders, so the kit actually comes with them this time. I had to buy aftermarket ones for my 10.2. This will keep mud from getting into your sensitive electronics and also adds to that scale look. And overall, lots of cool scale details throughout, like an engine cover, so if you want to paint up the engine bay. I know I'm just scratching the surface of the details of this kit, but hopefully that gives you a sense of some of the really cool features. Next, let's talk about the electronics that I went with. So for my motor ESC combo, I went with the Tekin BXR and their 5-slot brushed crawler motor. The Tekin BXR is tiny but mighty. There's a lot of tunability here. You definitely need to know how to solder because it comes with high gauge wire and 4 tiny soldering posts. It also comes with Tekin decals, instructions, and this little tiny capacitor that you have to solder on to the ESC. The packaging says that it has a 5-volt internal BEC, but on their website it says 6 volts, and I believe that it is in fact 6 volts. They do recommend if you are powering high voltage servos or a lot of devices off of this to run an external BEC, which I ended up doing. This is the Castle 10 amp 25 volt programmable BEC. It can operate up to a 6S battery, and you can change the output voltage between 4.8 and 9 volts. So since my 2 high voltage servos can be powered up to 8.4 volts, I set the BEC to 8.4 to power those servos directly through the external BEC. You'll need the Castle link to program it, which is sold separately, but I'll put links to both of those in the description box below. All right, so back to the ESC. The Tekin BXR has a lot of adjustable features like drag brake, braking strength, and reverse speed. You can even set your drag brake to a spare channel on your receiver and adjust the drag brake strength on the fly directly from your transmitter. Super cool. You can adjust all these settings directly from the ESC itself, or you can get the Tekin Hotwire, which is sold separately, and program a lot of features directly from their app. You can run up to 3S LiPos, which I'm going to be using 3S LiPos. These two are Adventure Series batteries from Gents Ace. This is the 4300 and the 3600 milliamp. They are also high voltage LiPos. So I paired the BXR with the Tekin 5-slot 16-turn motor. What's the difference between a standard 3-slot motor and a 5-slot motor? Well, 2 slots. But with the 5-slot motor, you can go with a lower turn than you typically would with a 3-slot. So for example, a 16 to 20 turn 5-slot motor would be equivalent to approximately 35 to 45 turn 3-slot motor. This motor is super smooth on the low end and actually has also quite a bit of speed. The kit comes with a cool motor mounting plate that allows you to set your gear mesh based on the tooth count of your pinion gear. Super easy. Overall, I really like the BXR with the Tekin 5-slot 16-turn motor. It's element proof. You're also going to bring costs down going with the brush setup. This would also be good for space-limited rigs like the Axial Capra. The BXR seems to get a little bit hot when I run it for a long amount of time, so I might have to get a fan or something to bring the temperature down, do some cooling, but so far so good. I really like it. So for my servos, as I mentioned, I'm running 2 high voltage servos directly off the Castle BEC. This is my steering servo and a servo winch. For my steering servo, this is a Powerhobby 760 milligram high voltage waterproof brushless steel gear servo. Comes in an aluminum case. I think this is the fastest and highest torque servo that I own. So at 8.4 volts, the torque is 760 ounce-inches or 55 kilograms per centimeter, which is crazy. And it is so fast. It's basically immediately responsive when you turn the wheel on the transmitter. I'm also running my first servo winch, similar specs to the 760 from Powerhobby. It comes with winch line and a spool. There isn't a mounting plate that comes on the SCX10.3 chassis, but I did get a Knight Custom servo winch 3D printed part that attaches on the front of the bumper, allows you to mount a servo winch. All you have to do is trim the bumper post down a bit and it's a direct fit. I'm currently out of channels on my 5-channel transmitter, unfortunately, so it's not hooked up, but I'm looking into higher channel transmitters so that I can use this in the future. Really impressed with these servos, very powerful, very fast. If you want to use the 2-speed and dig functions that the kit's well known for, you're going to also need 2 microservos. I tried using a few aftermarket microservos that I had lying around, but wasn't able to get those to work. So if you have any tips on how to set up aftermarket servos with this, shoot me a comment below. But this kit's specifically designed to work with the SX107 Spectrum microservos. Horizon was out of stock for a while, so I actually just got them and hooked them up. There are a couple videos out there of how to set these up with a Spectrum DX5 Rugged, which is what I'm using. So I'll put a link to those in the description box below. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I will show you how they function in the rig itself. First, let's check out our dig function. So I actually ended up only using 2 of the positions, so 4-wheel drive and front-wheel drive, not the rear wheel lockout. So here we're going to have 4-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. Kind of cool. Next, let's look at our shift servo here. Also 2 positions. Slow speed, high speed. Slow speed, high speed. For my transmitter and receiver, I'm running a Spectrum DX5 Rugged with an SR515 receiver. This is the 5-channel receiver. I'm actually over by 2 channels, so if I'm using all the functionality of what I've installed in this, I actually need 7 channels. So for now, my servo winch and my remote drag brake adjust are not functioning. But maybe I'll look into biting the bullet and getting a 7-channel transmitter. They're so crazy expensive though, so we will see. But for now, 5 channels it is. And lastly, for electronics, I installed a full MyTrickRC light kit, which looks so sick. As with the MyTrickRC kits I have on other rigs, you can control this remotely from a spare channel on your radio receiver if you have one, and toggle through all the light settings, turning it on and off. This kit was specifically designed for the SCX10.3, comes with 3D printed lighting harnesses and light holders, as well as our new halo headlights. These are super cool. Here's everything that comes in the Rubicon light kit. You got your halo headlights, your rock lights, interior dash lights, red tail lights, white headlights, the Dragon DG1 controller, 3D printed parts, cable organizers, decals, and a lighting harness. I'm not going to do a step-by-step install. MyTrickRC has a really great instructional video that goes into a lot of detail on how to install this. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Really, really love the MyTrickRC lighting. It's going to be super bright for you out on the trail. It's not just for looks, it's actually quite functional, so you can do a lot of night crawling. Check this out on MyTrickRC's website. For early upgrades, I swapped out the plastic drive shafts for some Hero metal drive shafts from Ottsix Racing. You're going to need 2 different sizes for the front and the rear. I'll put the links on the screen that I went with. These come pre-assembled, and make sure that you install them with the correct phasing. For shocks, I went with Ottsix Racing 90mm dual spring Voodoo shocks. They have a titanium nitride shaft. They're nice and plush. I have these in my Capra, really like them. They come pre-assembled, which is really nice. No shock oil though, so I did add 30 weight. It's going to give you nice articulation out on the rocks. Overall, really satisfied with these. For my foams, I'm trying something different. So these are the Ottsix Racing web wrap foams. They're kind of cool. So they're supposed to be really great for side hilling. They have this closed cell interior foam that's a little bit more rigid, and then the outer web wrap foam. They make a few different stiffnesses for the inner foams for different weight rigs. And these are waterproof, so you can run your wheels vented if you like. To install these, I first started with the outer foam. This kind of reminds me of like pump filter. It's very light and airy. So you're going to make sure that that is nice and centered, and then you insert the interior foam. Make sure that everything is evenly spaced and nice and centered for you, and then you can go ahead and install your rims. The kit comes with a 3-piece speed lock. These are licensed KMC XD Machete wheels. They come in a satin chrome, but I actually chose to go with these black Capra wheels that I had lying around. These are also 3-piece speed locks, licensed Raceline wheels. Just generally not a big fan of chrome if I can avoid it. These Capra wheels will be a direct fit. I think they pair really nicely with the Nitto Trail Grappler tires that came with the kit. I think this is a really nice wheel tire combo. And then to cap it off, so to speak, I swapped out the plastic diff covers for these Trio metal weighted diff covers. These are brass. I think the black accents look really cool with the body colors. Generally, really satisfied with these. And shout out to Peter Lundberg, RC_TeamZone on Instagram, for sending me this Trio care package. Thanks so much. Lastly, we have the Jeep JLU body and scale interior. The paint that I went with was from Proline's airbrush paint. This is called Metallic Pewter. I thought it was going to be a little bit too champagne, but backed in black, it looks super cool. The kit comes with all the window masks you need. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail about airbrushing. I'll put a link to one of my previous videos, but it's a ton of fun. I really enjoy airbrushing. I'm getting a lot better at it. It opens up a lot more colors for you to choose from. The kit comes with window decals. I think that finishes it off really nicely and gives you some clean lines. Of course, you have to add that custom touch, so an RC Girl license plate. I also got a couple goodies from Night Customs, including these 3D printed door hinges. I have to cut out part of the Lexan to fit these, so I think I'm going to wait for a day where I have a little more patience. And lastly, finished it off with this 3D printed snorkel. Check out Night Customs Shapeways store. He carries a lot for the 10.3 and other RCs. Really great way to make a custom build. So that is it for all the details about the SCX10.3 kit. After running it for a bit on my trip, what do I think? For our pros, it's a really high quality kit. They really improved the plastics from the 10.2 to the 10.3. A lot of cool scale details throughout on the chassis and the body. As far as crawling capability, it has really great articulation for a trail rig. It's actually quite capable with really good axle and bumper clearance when you're trying to get up some of the more steeper features. It does have a complicated shifting mechanism with high potential for some things to break out on the trail though. I did lose a servo screw holding on my steering links, but other than that, nothing major happened on my trip, which is really good because I didn't bring a lot of tools with me. A few other things that are not so ideal, it is on the pricier end, so at $400 US at the time of this video without electronics is a bit of a spend for someone in the RC hobby. I also had a gear clicking issue. I read up on the forums. I guess it's kind of common for some of the kits. I thought the issue would be solved by swapping the gears that were set by pins. That didn't fix it though. I still hear a little bit of clicking. All in all, super impressed with this kit. Would definitely recommend it. So that is it for the SCX10.3 video. Thanks for your patience. It took me a while to get this out, and I know it's been a while between videos. Thanks for those who reached out recently because of the Santa Cruz fires. Luckily, I'm doing okay. Thanks for everyone's support. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you later.